So, I guess that's everything. The fuck was that? I've been Sam, and, I have been a real... What the fuck? Great Grunty's Ghost! Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and, I'm a real person. So, today I want to talk to you about Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge, for Game Boy Advance. And a couple things up front here. Well, a few. First one is that if you want to see a written review, maybe before the video one, or maybe after, or, instead of, whatever, you can go to www.thegravelpit.net, or you can just click on the link in the description, and I'll have it there for you. So you have options. Another thing is that I'm going to assume that if you're looking just into this game, I'm going to assume you've played Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, or have seen stuff about them, read up on them, seen maybe my reviews on both of those games, maybe you read my reviews on those games, whatever. But I'm going to assume that you know about those games, as this actually came out after those. So, there's that. And the other thing is that the reason I'm wearing this hat is because my hair looks like shit. And instead of fixing it, I figured it was a lot easier to just put a hat on it. So that's why there's a hat on my head. So Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge, it's not really a sequel. It's one of those, it's a midquel, I guess you would call it. It's supposed to take place between Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. At least, but it came out, it was released on the Game Boy Advance after those two came out. I believe it came out in 2003. So it's set a couple months after the events of Banjo-Kazooie. And Grunty's still stuck under this rock. And Klungo gets the idea to have her transfer her spirit into something else, and he goes, and I don't know if he just goes and is supposed to have built this robot off screen in like a few seconds, or if he built it like a long time ago, he just had it laying around, or he just found it, whatever the fuck. But he comes back with this Grunty robot, and she uses a spell to put her spirit into the robot, and then they have the plan to go back in time to try to keep Banjo and Kazooie from ever meeting, so that they won't have to deal with them. And also, while they're at it, they go and they kidnap Kazooie, who is stuck at the house because they're gonna have like a barbecue, I think they said. It's really, it's not a great plot or anything, but Banjo was going out to get stuff, and Kazooie was cleaning up the house, and Mumbo, oversees this, just like in Banjo-Tooie, and he's gonna go warn them, but right when he does, they're too late, because Grunty comes in, kidnaps Kazooie, and they go through that time warp. So then Mumbo uses his magic to send you back into the past to try and stop her. So, basically, like, most of the game's events take place before anything in the later games, but when this happens, like, as the present time that you leave from, and then, eventually we'll get back to at the end of the game if you can beat it, is set back a few months after Banjo-Kazooie, so it's whatever. As if that really fucking matters that much, it kind of doesn't. So you go back, and you basically have, like, some time to figure out some moves and stuff, and learn how to play the game. And they kind of slowly introduce these mechanics to you as just Banjo. But then, pretty early on in the game, you will be able to rescue Kazooie, and then you get moves with both of you can do. The thing is, they have this weird thing where, you forget your moves because, you go back in time, and, apparently that's the side effect of the magic, and they just make some mention of that. It's like, hope there's not too many side effects or whatever, and one of them is that you forget how to do all the moves that you had in Banjo-Kazooie. So then you have to relearn some of the basics for this, and, you have to learn how to play it. And this game, actually, because it's on the Game Boy Advance, it is not a three-dimensional game, because Game Boy Advance can't do that. And it's actually not a side-scroller, it's actually an isometric view, so it's like a platformer with that isometric view, so, it's perspective of 3D, but it's not actually in 3D. There's no, with turn camera or anything like that. And that's interesting. They do, I think they do a good job of, putting some stuff up and trying to make it look pretty good so you can tell if you're going to be going up or down, and telling the different depths of platforms and everything. I think they do a fairly good job with that. And the moves you learn, a lot of it's just similar to stuff you can do in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. There's a number of moves you'll learn, and they're not spectacular, but like they get the job done for what you do in the levels, and some familiar enemies, familiar characters. There's a few new characters, some new enemies, there's some interesting little like gimmicks here and there, but a lot of the main gameplay is the same idea of you go around the levels, you collect notes, and you use the notes to learn the moves, just like in Banjo-Tooie. You use the jiggies to unlock the other worlds, just like both of the games, and you learn different moves in the levels, and they just progress through them, and there are actually some boss battles in here, so it's a little closer to Banjo-Tooie in that there's multiple boss fights. I think that's pretty cool. It's, you mostly just are fighting Klungo and Gruntilda all the way through, so it's not like there's a bunch of different ones. There's just them doing different things, which I think is kind of a neat way to get you more connected to these characters that you know. And you know what? I think it does surprisingly well with the limitations of what they have. It's a like the sound isn't the greatest. They have like a rendition of the Spiral Mountain theme, and I don't know, like a lot of the music sounds kind of Banjo-Kazooie-esque, but it sounds weird, probably just a little bit because it's on Game Boy Advance, and I don't know who did the music. I don't know if it's Grant Kirkhope that did it. I have no idea. But I don't know. It's a little weird because of the sound chip, and a lot of people, though, I think a lot of the characters have the weird like speech things where they make weird noises while they talk. That's still in the game, and those sound actually pretty good, except like, I think Banjo sounds a little weird, but they sound pretty good. I think, I don't know. Again, there's some limitations, but I think with that and the mini games, there's a few of those, and the mini games, the boss fights, the collecting jiggies, and the notes and all that stuff. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I think they did a pretty good job bringing these ideas together and putting them onto the Game Boy Advance, a handheld that is much less powerful than the Nintendo 64. So I think pretty good job, and it's like, well, what else could you do with that? It's all right. And I don't know, it's fun. There's some of the parts are actually pretty tough and challenging, and some of it's fun, and it's entertaining for a while. But I think there are a number of issues with the game. And I think, like, a lot of them aren't too major. I think one of the major issues of the game, is that sometimes they put things, not a lot, but a couple times I know, or a few times anyway, they put items behind stuff, like, behind things so you can't see them. You have to, like, walk behind stuff. Like, I walked behind this box and collected a thing because I just was curious, in exploring. And, they had that in multiple places where there's like, oh, hey, here's stuff that's behind other things. So, like, which, in a 3D game would be like, okay, you can move the camera, you can look behind things, it doesn't matter, you'd be able to see it. But in a game that's, two-dimensional with that fixed camera, you're like, how the fuck do I see it? Like that, I think that was pretty bad in those few spots. I was like, that's pretty cheap. I don't know if they should be able to do that. Or at least if they should have done that anyway. I don't know, I guess it still can be tough. Like, I think they did a good job with the perspective, but it is still tough with this perspective in general to do platforming. So it is kind of tough sometimes to tell, like, if you're going to go onto a platform or not, if you're going to be able to make a jump or where the platform is in relation to you. That is a problem, and it's, for what they picked, I guess, it's all that they probably could have done besides trying to turn it into, like a side-scroller, and I don't know how that would have worked out necessarily either. So this is probably closer to what you would have expected for this kind of game anyways. So I'll give them that much. And I don't know, like, visually it's pretty good, but sometimes it is hard to see certain things coming off of the background and such, because it's a small screen, with the pixels and everything, and I guess maybe if you're playing it on, like, a newer model Game Boy Advance SP, or a DS, or, like, a Game Boy player or something, then it's probably is lit up a little better anyways. But if you're playing on, like, an older Game Boy Advance SP, like I did, or, Christ, if you're trying to play on a normal Game Boy Advance, it's probably going to be really hard to see a lot of the stuff. So, I don't know, maybe that could have been better. I'm not sure. Other stuff, I guess, is a little more, you know, about preferences. One of the things is that, like, I don't think, like, how do I put it? Well, I don't know. Like, I think there could have been more levels, maybe. Maybe there was a space issue. I don't know the limitations, but I feel like maybe there should have been more levels. And to go along with that, this basically consists of 5 main levels, plus there's the overworld of Spiral Mountain has stuff to collect in it. So it's like, I guess if you're counting that, it's like 6 worlds you have, and then it's already the final boss fight. So you know, I don't know. That's not necessarily bad, but it feels a little short, even though like the time I spent on it was still a decent amount of time, but it was my first time playing it, so I don't know. It's okay, I guess. It is a game you can pick up and play, and you can save it whenever and stuff, so I guess I kind of understand why they didn't necessarily want it to be huge, but I think it would have helped. And I think part of that also is this other complaint I had with the moves, is like, you learn all these different moves, and there's like a decent number of them, but you don't really use all of them that much. Like, there are some moves where, like, you get them and you use them, maybe, you know, they're only super useful, like, once or twice in the game, and then it's, like, the next move you get is useful for, like, that next level, usually, and it's, like, each, like, move you learn is only really that useful, like, in the levels you have them, and, like, you don't even use all of the stuff. Like, there's not a ton of things, considering, you know, how short the game is. You don't even use anything, like, multiple times, really. You don't use all of the stuff you learned on the final fight, either, which I think is kind of a letdown, even though that last fight is pretty good. It's like, I feel like maybe they could have either had more, you know, more worlds and integrated those things more cleverly with, you know, puzzles and combat and stuff, or they could have just had less ideas implemented into it, and then, you know, just used those more in the limited amount of levels that they had. I think that would have been better. So I feel like they had more things than they had ideas of how to use them, and I guess that's a little annoying. And I think that's mostly the preference thing, is that, like, it, you know, it's basically, I guess, it's just the worst thing about it may just be the fact that, you know, they were trying to put something that was the same caliber as Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, which were pretty impressive games for the Nintendo 64, and they tried to put this similar kind of thing, you know, and tried to capture that on the Game Boy Advance, and while you can see there's stuff there, you can see that it's there, I really don't think they, you know, this probably just isn't the medium, you know, this isn't the Game Boy Advance wasn't the piece of hardware that was gonna make for a graceful sequel to the series, or even a, you know, it's an okay companion piece, I guess, at best, but as part of the timeline and part of the series, I guess it falls a little short of expectations. Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge. Can you see that? It's kind of hard to read, I guess. I'll be over here. I mean, I had mixed expectations when I was looking at this game, and it's like, you know, I'd heard bad things about Nuts and Bolts, and I was like, well, I mean, anything like post-Banjo-Tooie, people are kind of low on, but it's like, well, I haven't heard much about this, so I haven't really heard that it's bad. So, I don't know. I was kind of like, you know, it might be kind of crappy because it's on the Game Boy Advance, and I haven't heard anyone say that it's good, so I don't know. But I also, you know, I also haven't heard it's bad, and it's like, I love Banjo-Kazooie games, you know, like, chances are pretty good I'm going to love this too, so, I guess, ultimately it's a game where it's like, if you're really into the Banjo-Kazooie series, then check this game out, because it is cool. I think it's, you know, maybe about as best, like, it's not bad. It's about as best as you could expect, probably from a Game Boy Advance counterpart, or Game Boy Advance version of what Banjo-Kazooie is. But, you know, it is a little lacking in some stuff. And I guess I forgot to mention it before, but I'll mention it now, is that Mumbo lets you transform into different things. Again, it's the same stuff as Banjo and Kazooie, I guess. That's why it sort of slipped my mind. But also, you don't, it's cool because you can turn into different things, like all the different transformations, you get to keep those, so you can transform into those different things in each level, so sometimes you do some stuff with them, but you rarely have to be multiple things in a level. So, again, another concept that was started but not really realized, I guess. But But again, probably limitations. Maybe if they made another one of these, maybe if they made another Banjo-Kazooie game now, put that on a handheld, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Have like a Banjo-Kazooie game on like 3DS or like PS Vita, I guess. I don't know. I'd love to see another one in general, but it's not going to happen, so whatever. But well, I guess I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. So what I really want to know from you guys, I guess. First, I'm just going to say the recommendation. So if big Banjo-Kazooie fans, this is mostly who I'm recommending this to. Not a great game. And if you're not into the whole Banjo-Kazooie thing, you're probably not even going to give a shit. You're going to play this for a few minutes and be like, eh, and, you know, forget about it. So that's why it's a pretty tough sell. But as a Banjo-Kazooie fan, it's not bad. So what I really want to know from you guys is, have you played this game? I guess is one of the things. Is like, have you guys ever played, you know, Grunty's Revenge? And what do you guys think of it? Because I never heard anyone fucking talk about this game. And I always saw it as a kid, and I was like, that looks dumb. How are they going to make a game on Game Boy Advance like that? That's dumb, and like I never got it. But it's only cost me like, you know, $10 to get this, so you know, it's a low, you know, a low cost of entry there to just to try it out. So why not try it out? I think that's everything. I've rambled long enough. Sorry the review's not longer, but the game wasn't super long either, and I don't know. I'll probably still hang on to this one because I got a soft spot for a Banjo-Kazooie series, and you know, what are you gonna do? Now we just gotta get an Xbox 360 and get Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, right? I guess I could get Banjo Pilot. That's his game. It could probably. God, it doesn't look that good. It doesn't look that good. It looks worse than this, and some people probably don't even like this. So I don't know. But I'd try nuts and bolts if I found it. Maybe I don't know. But if you find this for like, yeah, $15 and under, it's not right. Not right by. I wouldn't go much over that, even if you are a big fan. So, did you like that bit that I did in the other video to lead up to this? Boy, it wasn't that mysterious. Yeah. Also, there's a sticker on the back of this one. I had to take it off because it like kind of moved the sticker when I was putting it in because it wasn't down all the way, and then it didn't want to come out of my system either, and the game wouldn't start, and that was fun.